Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful winter's day. This is the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks. My name is Gil, and I have the honor of being your lay leader this morning. So welcome. Welcome to this congregation where for over half a century, we have been seeking to foster community, to grow our spirits, to serve others, and to work for justice. We're very glad that you have joined us this morning in our sacred cyberspace and hope that here you will experience love, acceptance, and inspiration. After our service, please feel welcome to stick around for a little while for some fellowship and conversation. Our monthly Touchstones themes strive to help us shape our days and guide our journey. Our March topic is respect. Respect is the way that we affirm another's worth and dignity. UU Minister Tom Owen Toll has suggested that respect is more important than love. The word respect comes from a Latin root that means to look back, to regard. It reminds us that when we look with the hard eyes of judgment, we would be wise to look again with the soft eyes of respect, that we might truly see beneath superficialities. Our sermon this morning is from one of our favorite guest speakers, Mark Bernstein. Mark is an adjunct staff member of the Central East region of the UUA. He also serves on the steering committee of the Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry, a joint program of the UUA and Equal Access, working to enable the full engagement of people with disabilities and their families in our congregations. Mark's home congregation is the UU Church of Delaware County in Media, PA, where he has been a member for 27 years. The title of his sermon today is Standing in Awe. To be in awe of something or someone is to have an overwhelming amount of respect or admiration, tinged with surprise, wonder, and even fear. What do you stand in awe of? How has our Unitarian Universalist faith helped us to recognize and appreciate such moments of awe? I'm sure Mark will enlighten us. Now, let us enter into worship together. For our prelude this morning, our awesome musician, Avi Wisnia, has chosen a Katy Perry song.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screams, but no one hears a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go, whoa, 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 as you shoot across the sky. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Gonna lead them all in all. like a waste of space. You're original, you cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds. After a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all of the doors are closed, so you can open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow. When it's time you'll know, you just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make them go, whoa, 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 as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're gonna lead them all in awe. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's always been inside of you. Been inside of you. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's always been inside of you. Now it's time to let it through. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, whoa, 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 whoa. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make them go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're gonna lead them all in awe. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make them go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Make them go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Make them go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're gonna leave them all in awe.
Wow. Thank you, Avi. We're very lucky to have that man. Please feel free to join me as I read the words for lighting our chalice. As we light the chalice and fully embrace the sacred, let us hold in our hearts the Unitarian Universalist principle, which calls upon us to respect the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Our opening words this morning are from Steve Maraboli. How would your life be different if you stopped making negative, judgmental assumptions about people you encounter? Let today be the day you look for the good in everyone you meet and respect their journey. I know that I do that countless times a day. It's a struggle to try to look at people and remember that there's no difference between them and me. Our Director of Religious Exploration, Angela Connon, has a beautiful message for all ages for us.
Good morning, everybody. Did you ever find that like you saw something or heard something or even tasted something that made you just kind of stop in your tracks and think, oh my gosh, how lucky am I to be experiencing this thing right now? That's happened to me a few different times, and it's a really cool feeling. That feeling I'm describing is known as awe, and that's what service is sort of all about today, even though there are all different kinds of ways to experience awe. I'm just sharing that one kind. And I found this great story for us called Everywhere Wonder that I think is going to be just right for today. So it's by Matthew Swanson and illustrated by Robbie Bear. I have a story to share. It is a little gift from me to you. You might not know it, but you have a story too. You'll find it in the things you stop to notice. The world is full of people and places and things, all of them interesting, all of them beautiful. You never know what you might see or where your mind might take you. So keep your eyes wide open as you go. In Egypt, there are pyramids. In Arizona, there are canyons. In the jungles of Brazil are leaves so plentiful and green that light can barely reach the ground below. In the high hills of Japan are gardens full of wind-worn rocks and clean white sand, but not a single flower. In Kenya, there are hot, dry savannas filled with zebras and blue wildebeest. In Alaska, there are cold, wet waters filled with seals and sockeye salmon. In the middle of a coral sea, there is a roaring storm that no one will ever hear. On the near side of the moon, there is a quiet footprint that no rains will ever wash away. In Sheboygan, there's a tractor mechanic named Shirley who has 37 friends. On the North Pole, there's a cold and lonesome bear wishing for some company. You want to go see him, of course, to let him know he's not alone, but your bike won't get you there and back by bedtime. Still, you noticed him, didn't you? He walked off this page and into your head. Now he's part of your story. There are other wonders yet to find, not so far from where you are right now. They too are interesting. They too are beautiful. Stop to really look, and you will see them. The highest part of the tree is an unexpected gift. In the highest part of the tree is an unexpected gift, a blue balloon that must have slipped from someone's fingers. In the deepest part of the pool is a sunken treasure, a shiny dime that must have tumbled from someone's pocket. Will you save it or spend it, or leave it there for someone else to find? In your bowl of steaming soup is just one noodle that doesn't match the others. Where do you think it came from? On the playground is a sturdy line of bright black ants carrying their supper home. Under the bridge is a gently rolling river, floating a blue glass bottle out to sea. Perhaps it holds a message. What does it say? Who could it be for? In the busy town are sidewalks full of swiftly moving people who somehow never seem to collide. In the quiet countryside are miles of open, empty roads that somehow never seem to end. Where do they go? Someday you may find out. In the hallway is a spotted dog that turns golden as the sun sets through the window. In the bedroom is a doorknob that makes rainbows when the reading lamp clicks on. Now the lamp is off and the moon is up. Close your eyes and see them again, the things you noticed today. All of these together are your story. Dream with them a while. When you wake up in the morning, open your eyes and open your window and let your story out into the world. It is a little gift from you to me. Now my story is complete, but yours is just beginning. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thank you, Angela, for sharing that awesome story. This truly is a world filled with wonders. For our interlude this morning, Avi has chosen a song by the Beatles.
clouds are flying out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my open mind, possessing and caressing me. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Images of broken light which dance before me like a million eyes. They call me on and on across the universe. Thoughts meander like an endless wind inside a letterbox. They tumble blindly as they make their way across the universe. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Sounds of laughter, shades of life are ringing through my opened ears, inciting and inviting me. Limitless, undying love which shines around me like a million suns. It calls me on and on across the universe. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 No, nothing's gonna change my world. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva.
Thank you, Avi. What a beautiful song and what a beautiful message. When you make truth or love your world, then nothing out there that isn't truth or love can change it. It's a beautiful thing. For our reading this morning, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mark Bernstein.
Thank you, Gil. It's wonderful to be back with all of you. I am in awe of Avi's beautiful music and the uncanny ability of Angela to provide a perfect introduction to my sermon theme. This morning's reading is from Albert Einstein. Perhaps you've heard of him. The most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, a snuffed out candle. To sense that behind anything that can be experienced, there is something that our minds cannot grasp, whose beauty and sublimity reaches us only indirectly. This is religiousness. In this sense, and in this sense only, I am a devoutly religious man. The words of Albert Einstein.
Thank you, Mark. Albert truly had a spiritual side to him that was very inspirational. There's a lot of really great quotes from him. The split plate recipient for the month of March is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee Freedom for Immigrants program, which coordinates and expands visitation programs for immigrants in detention throughout the United States. They also monitor conditions, assist and provide vital contact, and advocate for all immigrants in detention. Please give generously. And now for his sermon, Standing in Awe, I reintroduce Mark.
Thank you, Gil. Give me 1 second to make sure that I'm all set. This time, I had writer's block before I started writing. I was struggling with how to begin this spiritual message. And so I went to my wife, whose opinion I trust very much. Hold on 1 sec. I see my camera is off. So I went to my wife, whose opinion I trust very much. And I asked her what she thought of when I said the word awe. She pondered this for a few moments and said, puppy dogs. Puppy dogs, I responded. White puppy dogs. Well, she said, whenever I see puppy dogs, I go, aw. No, I said, that's not what I mean. Oh, she continued, do you mean the sound you make when a doctor looks down your throat? No, I sighed, that's ah. I could tell that Debbie was having fun with me. Well, then you must mean a conjunction used to link two alternatives. No, I was almost screaming now. That's or, as in either you help me with this, Debbie, or you can leave me to my misery. I love my wife, but sometimes she is just no help. Awe is a deeply misunderstood emotion, and yet most of us experience it every day, sometimes several times a day. Reverend Janet Parsons of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church in Massachusetts defined it this way. Awe is our response to a glimpse of something that is greater than ourselves. And as we experience that glimpse, the night sky, a bird that reminds us of a dinosaur, music that makes us weep, we can understand better how we are just one small part of the whole of the universe. You might be the star of your own life, but you are sharing the stage with countless other lives across time and space. This sense of wonder, this sudden realization that there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, that is at the core of awe. I have to tell you that as a former Long Islander, it's really hard for me to say the word awe. On February 18th of this year, I turned away from my perpetual Zoom meetings and looked to the sky, or more specifically to a NASA live stream to witness the Mars landing of the rover Perseverance. It turns out that during the descent, mission control at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California was not controlling Perseverance. It was literally on its own, about 39 million miles away from Earth. Now, communications from Earth to Mars take about 12 minutes. So scientists had to have confidence that they had prepared Perseverance for any eventuality and that it could navigate to a precise spot on the Martian surface, open a parachute at supersonic speed, deploy rockets to guide the descent, and withstand temperatures of more than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. An infinite number of things could have gone wrong out there, but they didn't. Somehow, this human-made machine defied the odds. Imagine that. This feat, this overcoming of incomprehensible distances and even greater odds, is what creates feelings of awe. It's an emotion that alters our understanding of the world and changes our perspective. It often leaves us breathless at what is possible. To stand in awe is to have an overwhelming amount of respect or admiration for someone or something, sometimes to the point of feeling nervous or fearful around them or it. In 1980, a professor and psychologist with the non-lyrical name of Robert Plutchik created what he called a wheel of emotions. He considered there to be 8 basic emotions: trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, anticipation, and joy. Adding up or combining these primary emotions in turn produce new ones. For example, anticipation and joy combine to produce optimism. Joy and trust combine to produce love. And for our purposes, surprise and fear combine to produce awe. Surprise and fear. Now, one can understand how the emotion of surprise can elicit feelings of awe. When we experience this emotion, we often say words like, wow, or our mouth just drops open. But fear? Why is the emotion of fear considered when we are looking at a beautiful sunset or watching a toddler take her first steps? It is, I believe, because awe enables us to understand our place in the universe, to come to the realization that we are infinitesimal, a microscopic part of something that is so much bigger than ourselves, and that this larger and sometimes incomprehensible world is filled with unknowns and things that go bump in the night. That we are fearful of what we are not fully capable of understanding, but in awe of its potential. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel writes that the meaning of awe is to realize that life takes place under wide horizons, horizons that range beyond the span of an individual life, or even the life of a nation, a generation, or an era. Awe moves us to tears and moves us to wonder and moves us to embrace the mystery of our very being, of our very lives. The transcendental phenomenon of awe has also surprisingly been the subject of a great deal of scientific research. Studies show that taking the time to experience awe can be a pathway to improving our lives and our relationships. Awe can improve our mood. It has long-term health benefits. It can help us to think more critically, and it can even decrease materialism. One study concluded that the experience of awe elevates people from their day-to-day concerns, which often focus on the desire for money. awe can also instill a greater sense of humility in us. Studies show that people who are more prone to experience awe felt more humility and were rated as more humble by their friends and loved ones. And awe can even make us more generous and cooperative, perhaps because of the way it encourages us to focus less on ourselves and more on the world around us. Researchers Paul Piff and Dr. Keltner conducted a study in 2015 in which people were given lottery tickets that would be entered in their name for a cash prize drawing. Each person was told that the tickets were theirs to keep, but that they could elect to share a portion of the tickets with another person, an unidentified person, who did not receive any tickets. Participants who reported experiencing more awe in their lives, who felt more regular wonder and beauty in the world around them, were more generous to the stranger. They gave approximately 40% more of their tickets away than did participants who did not report awe-inspiring experiences in their lives. And finally, awe can help us to feel more connected to one another. For those of us who have been to General Assembly, the awe-inspiring feeling of sharing space and music and ideas with thousands of other Unitarian Universalists is often beyond words. Even in your congregation and UU congregations across the country, even during this time of physical isolation from one another, singing Spirit of Life or sharing the joys and sorrows expressed by our fellow congregants can induce a sense of awe. Through our collective rituals, joint celebrations, music, and yes, even sermons, awe helps shift our focus from our narrow self-interest to the interests of the group to which we belong. Awe helps bind us to others, motivating us to act in collaborative ways that enable strong, cohesive communities and even that elusive, beloved community. And it is in considering this concept of awe that finally we have something that atheists and theists, humanists and spiritualists can share. There is as much awe in understanding how an electric car works as there is in watching water cascade down a mountaintop. Here's a story for you. A scientist and a mystic took a walk together one beautiful fall morning. After a while, they came upon a large tree. The scientist was feeling a little tired and asked if they might pause for a few moments to take a rest. The mystic agreed, and they sat next to each other, backs leaning against the tree trunk. As they sat, their conversation gradually dwindled, eventually settling into silence. Eventually, the mystic asked the scientist, "What are you thinking about?" The scientist responded, "Oh, I'm just sitting here thinking about how amazing this tree is. It lives and thrives while remaining in one place without moving. It takes sunlight and converts it into energy, which feeds the whole food chain. They take carbon dioxide out of the air and produce oxygen for us to breathe. And while I don't imagine it means that much to the trees, I think it's pretty cool how the weather getting colder is a signal to the trees to cease producing and maintaining the chlorophyll, which is green. And so as the green fades, we get these brilliantly colored leaves that I so much appreciate. All in all, trees are pretty amazing, scientifically speaking." The mystic took all this in quietly, listening. After a brief pause, the scientist said, "I shared what I was thinking. It's your turn now. What are you thinking about?" The mystic responded, "Well, I've been sitting here communing with the tree, and it's been wonderful. I've been resting my hands on its bark and wondering at how something so immobile and rigid can simultaneously also be alive. I've been feeling connected to the energy of the tree and the earth in which it's rooted. I've been listening to the breeze rustling the tree's leaves and appreciating the gentle, almost musical whisper. I also noticed the marvelous patterns of light and shadow dancing on the leaves from the sunshine filtering through. When you asked, I was musing about how much the tree has observed over the many years it's been here. How many people might have sat with their backs against it, just as we are now? How many children might have played on or near it? And while I didn't know until you just shared it that the orange of the leaves was already there and was simply masked by the green, I too was appreciating the brilliant colors of the fall leaves. The scientists took all this in quietly, listening. They sat in silence a little while longer, then helped each other to their feet and continued on their way. Choosing to experience awe in our lives is intentional. We can take a walk on a beautiful late winter evening and constantly look down as we walk, watching our steps so as not to slip and fall on the ice. Or we can look up and around and notice the sights and sounds of everything enveloping us. We can accept events as they occur in our lives, or we can wonder about them and their meaning in our lives. Albert Einstein again wrote, "There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle." We experience awe when we are open to life and opened up by life. What do you stand in awe of? Is it the kindness of a neighbor, the courage of a firefighter, or the harmony of people singing? Is it the gentle falling of snow on an open field, the brilliantly colored wildflowers along the side of a busy highway, or the inspiring message of a Sunday sermon? Is it the ability of a center fielder to settle under a long fly ball, the composer to create a stirring piece of music, or the author to write yet another bestseller? Is it the fury of nature unleashing storms, the sacrifice of heroes like Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa, or the spine-tingling encounter with a spirit or a ghost? Michelle Chioda is a social psychology professor at Arizona State University. She writes, "How often you experience awe depends on your mindset, how open you are to the novel and unexpected in your environment, whether you choose to seek out extraordinary experiences, how much you attend to the wonder and beauty present in everyday life. These all help create moments of seeing the world as a beautiful and amazing place." Before I end this message, I want to offer you an awe-inspiring experience, something that we can experience together. Now, while this was a political ad during the recent election, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you may sit in order to enjoy this.
Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America.
My friends, may you experience awe this day and all the days of your life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mark,
Wow.
for sharing all that. That was really pretty impressive. If we're not experiencing awe in our life, we're doing something wrong. We're not really living. So, something to look at. Now is the time in our service when we recognize and lift up one another in love. Let us be fully present and listen with open hearts. If you wish to share a joy or a sorrow, click on Participants and then click Raise Hand, and we will help you to unmute. For everyone's benefit, please be brief.
You can ask them. Ask them.
If you can't figure out how to do it electronically, do it old school and just raise your hand.
Oh, Liz.
Mary Rogers is raising her hand.
Okay, but Liz. Liz.
All right. Liz, you're doing it the new wave. You go first.
I just want everyone to keep my friend's grandfather in his thoughts because his wife was put into hospice last week and she died 3 days after being in hospice. And he is kind of distraught. They've been married for 60 some odd years. And he's going through the rough of it and keeps asking, why isn't it not him? So it's been pretty rough dealing with that. That's it right now. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. We will keep him in our thoughts and prayers.
Mary.
Mary, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I hit my head 3 years ago before I came here, and my short-term memory is really miserable. And I have to admit that I forgot what I was going to say. And so I love it that I can see all of you. That is really, really special. And I do thank you for being there for me and for all of us. And I just love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. We love you too.
Anyone else?
Hmm?
Anyone else?
Jane?
Okay. Give me a second. Okay.
Okay, you should be able to unmute now.
Okay, great.
Friendship is such a wonderful thing, and I have some wonderful, wonderful friends, but it's also can be painful sometimes because your friends are in danger, physical danger, health danger, and I'm thinking of that now, and I can't stop thinking about it. Except these people will be with me forever. It's like when my 2 sisters died. They'll be with me forever. That's it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? All right, I think that's everybody. We can always have coffee hour to discuss things. So whether or not you shared today, for your joys, we in this community join you in celebration. And for any sorrows or concerns, may you feel our sympathy and our compassion. Let's pause for just a moment of gratitude, silent meditation, and prayer. For our closing song, Avi will be performing Morning Has Broken.
like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you, Avi. Please feel free to join me as I say the closing words. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forward the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth. Our service is concluded. Please feel welcome to stay for our very informal coffee hour. You can now unmute yourself